So the Minnesota T-Wolves, they got kind of busy when it came to searching for a head coach, and they managed to acquire, in my opinion, probably the top guy on the market, Tom Thibodeau, a guy who we saw lead the Chicago Bulls to, 2 number 1 seeds, and including a 50-win season within a lockout year, and if it wasn't for a Derrick Rose injury, potentially an NBA championship. And Tom Thibodeau has a reputation of being a hard ass. His practices are long, and he'll definitely yell at you if you're messing up. But he's also a great defensive mind, and his offense is pretty damn good as well. It's not the shining part of his scheme, but it's pretty damn solid. And you combine Tom Thibodeau with this young Minnesota team, specifically Karl Anthony Towns, who already in his first season has shown the ability to post up, hit from mid. He's already has a bit of a three-point game to him. He's got athleticism. He can run up and down the floor. He can dribble the ball pretty well. He's already around double-digit rebounds, I believe. He's great from the free throw line. And he's okay defensively. He has work to do, but you have to assume with his natural athleticism and lateral quickness that Towns will develop into a very good defensive player, and as a result, be one of the best players in the NBA in as little as maybe next year, definitely 2 years from now, you have to imagine. And then there's also Andrew Wiggins, who's a perimeter player who's super athletic. His outside shot was better than we thought it was when he entered the league. He still has to improve on it, but it is good. He's very good at finishing inside. His post-up game is really solid for someone that young and at the small forward position. You'd probably like to see him, put on a few pounds, get a little bit stronger. Now, one thing you can say about Wiggins is one disappointment since he's entered the league has been his defense. He's still a good defender, but he has moments of defensive lapses where he loses focus. That's the sort of thing that Thibodeau can clean up really well, because I think Wiggins has the foundation of being a very good defender because of how athletic and long he is and all that. I think Tibbs will be able to straighten him out in terms of focus. There's also Zach LaVine, who seems like he can be a scorer, really improved this season, good inside finisher, shown life at the three-point line. Of course, the guy's a frickin' show when it comes to dunking inside. There's a lot of good things here in Minnesota. Question is, can Tom Thibodeau be the answer for this team to eventually win a championship? Well, I do think there are still a few questions with the roster. The team is definitely better when Ricky Rubio is in the game, but with Andrew Wiggins and Towns' improvement, we might get to a point where they don't need Rubio anymore, and perhaps they would need someone who can just stretch the floor at that position, because that is still the one flaw in Rubio's game, is he's really not much of a scorer, not much of a shooter, even though he's a fantastic playmaker. I don't know. I don't know where Rubio's development is going to take him. I don't know how he's going to mesh with the team, but if we assume, that Wiggins can become more of a ball handler and he has the ball in his hand a lot and Towns has the offense run through him, there is the idea that Rubio might not be the right guy for the job, but as of right now, I would keep him. Also, I think an interesting thing will be just the type of offense that Thibodeau runs through Towns and Wiggins, because in Chicago, they were most successful, of course, when Derrick Rose was the main guy. Of course, D. Rose was on the trajectory of being one of the best players in the league. He already was one of the best, but he could have been top 5 for a long time, and then he got the injury. The way Thibodeau ran the offense through Joakim Noah in Chicago when D. Rose was hurt, by getting Noah the ball around the elbow and having guys kind of move and cut around him and get passing lanes for Noah, maybe that'll be the way to go with Towns. I don't know, because Towns, he's a much better offensive player than Joakim when it comes to scoring and posting up and hitting the mid-range, so it'll be really interesting to see. I don't know if you can run all of the same things for Derrick Rose that you can for Rubio, because, Rubio doesn't really intimidate people with his ability to drive inside, but you might be able to run similar stuff with Wiggins, and if Wiggins is driving inside, then he's got Towns off to his left or his right or wherever to kick out for the mid-range. That'll be really good, but also just getting the ball to Towns in the post should be very good as well. Now, I do think the roster itself needs a few adjustments. Levine might be best coming off the bench, just as a sixth man, as a scorer. They might need a shooter at that shooting guard spot. Buddy Hield is a possibility coming out of college. The T-Wolves are still going to have a high pick this year. I don't know if Gorgie Dang is the option for the big man next to Karl Anthony Towns. Luckily, Towns is so versatile. You have so many options when it comes to the big man next to him. It can be somebody who's mainly around the paint, because Towns can stretch the floor, but it can also be someone who can kind of hit mid as well, because Towns can do everything well. Like, I think Karl Anthony Towns is going to be one of the 6 or 7 best players in the league. And it's not going to take that long of a time. And it might even be fast-forwarded by the fact they got Thibodeau now. The only concern with Tibbs is, of course, the minutes situation. He plays guys a lot of minutes. Hopefully he has learned from that just a bit, and we don't see Wiggins and Towns playing 40 minutes every game. Hopefully. If he does do that, well, that's unfortunate. But, yeah, I think this Minnesota T-Wolves team, the potential between Wiggins and Towns and Levine, and if Rubio can get better, it's a lot of potential there, man, and I think they have the right head coach for it. Someone who is going to show them the way to properly go about this whole NBA thing. So, that's going to do it. I think the T-Wolves knocked it out of the park with Tibbs, and Wiggins and Towns are going to get yelled at a lot, especially by him and KG, but it's going to be good for them.